Hello and welcome to the long view with me, Jon Jordan. Today, for the last time, we're looking at Breaking Bad Empire Business, and the reason it's for the last time is because the game has been canned. So you probably can't read the small text there, but it says, despite our best efforts here at Phase 1 Games, unfortunately Breaking Bad Empire Business will be decommissioned. On the 28th of July 2017, all Breaking Bad Empire Business servers will be shutting down permanently. And in fact, the game has been removed from the App Store, at least the App Store countries where it's being tested. So in this video, just going to quickly go through the game and some reasons why it didn't get a global release. So interestingly, Breaking Bad has been in soft launch for since actually November 2015. So a year and a half, pretty long time. I've been playing it for about 4 or 5 months now. And it's kind of a game of war type game, like what I might call a 4X game. So you do kind of base building management meta game, kind of leveling up, and then heavily based around alliances, which in this case are called syndicates, and then also kind of going onto a world map and doing kind of attacks and raids, that kind of stuff. So obviously it's a game built around the IP Breaking Bad, so a pretty famous TV show, but now a fairly old TV show, so maybe that has something to do with it. Let's go in and see kind of what you do in the game. So you basically kind of start off with your kind of city map. Your city map is where you do all your kind of different building type leveling up. So you can see here moving around, so it's obviously based in the kind of typical US type grid city. And we can see lots of different buildings to level up, lots of different things you can build. So when you get to when certain buildings get to certain levels, you can unlock new buildings. Also, you have these. You can see these little characters with exclamation marks or question marks above them. So they've been my kind of crew off doing missions. And you can see I'm collecting different resources, 4 different soft resources in the game, kind of based around money and drugs, that kind of thing. So here's Jill. I can go off and set her on a mission. So typically, as we see in game of war type game, it's all you're doing is hitting a menu button and someone's going off and doing a mission. So here's 2 I'm just collecting some XP and supply from. The ones with question marks. So here's Ed. Give him a job to do. There's Ramona. So a lot of this kind of tappy type kind of resource management, I guess we could call it. That was kind of one of the things that the game kind of kept you going on. Kind of you'd always come back in the game and there was always something to tap on. Wasn't really particularly interesting. So here we can see all the activities. There's 5 characters I've set up to do, and then typically in a game of war type game, you have these speed up items. So I can use my speed up items to speed up the task. So I took 15 minutes off Jill's task there. I can use another one, and there we go. Jill's completed her task, so I can go off and collect that. Let's have a look at Ira's task now. Again, similarly, I can expedite his task. So there we go, they're ready to go, and I can pick up those rewards and set them on to do another task. So very kind of an endless loop there, really. So that was one kind of element of the game, which is, as I say, typical from game of war type games, not particularly exciting. The other bit was a kind of longer loops, like leveling up. So it's a compound, one of the key building items. So I can't level it up because I've got to level up some other buildings first. So you can see I'm kind of trying to find the building I can actually level up to start this kind of chain. So there we go, the cookhouse. So I can level that one up again. Kind of 12 minutes. So I can go in and use a 15-minute speed up. So that's all kind of fairly well understood kind of mechanics, if not very exciting. So the reason you make those exciting is because you have a more long-term goal, and that really comes with the syndicates. So another element, there's a research lab. So there's a different research trees you can do. So you can see different kind of things you can do. Again, not massively interesting. A time-based kind of element of leveling up. So this one here, again, you have different requirements that you have to fulfill. This was odd. The trading slot just was a bug on it. You couldn't actually research that trading slot at all. So let's training XP efficiency. So again, another kind of meta game kind of loop. So going to this options thing. So because I upgraded my cookhouse now, I've gained some more resource for doing that. So these are kind of long-term goals. Again, none of this is skill-based at all. This is all kind of time-based resource management. So you could argue, is this in keeping with the IP? Probably not what people would expect necessarily. Then go out and look in the world. So this is looking outside effectively my city. It's someone else's city. I can go and have a look and attack them if I want to. Or here's this kind of a loot drop, so I can have different teams I can deploy. So you have to buy the cars, and then you have these characters, members of your crew that you level up. So I go off and deploy that, and again, it's all about collecting resources, either through that particular kind of stash, or going in and attacking other players, which really was with the Syndicate where the kind of real high-level game came from. Doing these big raids. Not that I ever really did that. So look at some of the crew. So this is she's a 4-star character. I think she's my highest level character. You can see obviously different rarities. So there's Jesse. He was a chemist, 3-star. So you actually attach those characters to different buildings, and they gave a boost. Syndicates. So obviously the game's pretty much dead now, so there's not a lot of activity on the syndicates. Just going through some of the menu here. So items, all the speed up stuff, protection. So let's go back to the base, and finally just do the final thing, just to quickly show, is the crew leveling up system. So this is a typical kind of a card collection system. So this is where the game was a little bit different. A Game of War doesn't really have this kind of card collection fusion system. So I'm going to just doesn't really matter using up my currency. So let's go, and the game's falling apart a bit now. Now they're not supporting it. So here we go. I'm just going to kind of hire some crew. This would be low-level crew members. So I just hired 10. You can see them all there. Different. Only 2 stars were the highest ones. So there we go. So that was kind of the game, and it was all kind of functional. I guess the problem I had with it, after a certain point, it wasn't very exciting. Now I do find that sometimes with the kind of Game of War type games. So I'm playing the Final Fantasy game at the moment, and also playing Mafia Wars from Zynga. But those games, I think, have just a better kind of basic loop system. They're a bit more exciting. And this kind of game, I think, kind of fell a little bit between. It had an IP that it couldn't really fulfill within the gameplay metagame kind of mechanics it was trying to do. And it just kind of felt a little bit old-fashioned, partly because it had been, I guess, in development and soft launch for so long. And even while it was in soft launch, not a lot changed, to be honest. It wasn't like a game in soft launch and then suddenly you get these big updates and a lot of the feature set changes and suddenly you can do all this new stuff. It was very small tweaks in kind of the running of the game. It never really felt like the game developer had a strong vision for how it was going to change the game once it got it in this kind of long soft launch period. So there we go, Breaking Bad Empire Business. Would have been interesting had it come out, I guess, a year ago, but obviously the metrics weren't good enough. Another thing you always have to realise with a game with an IP attached to it is that it's expensive to launch a game like that. You have to pay the people who own the IP. So probably sensible if it wasn't. Well, it didn't seem a very exciting game to me. It didn't seem a very game with a strong vision, and probably a game that would have lost the publisher money. So in that kind of situation, it makes sense to can it, even though to kind of fans of Breaking Bad that might seem like a weird decision. That's just the mechanics of doing free-to-play mobile games at the moment. It's very expensive to launch and market those games. So if you don't think it's going to make enough money to kind of give you profit, then you don't do it. Hello, thanks for watching right to the end of the video. If you have any comments, please put them in the comment box. We're always interested to hear what people think of our videos. Also, don't forget to subscribe. There's a button below, and check out some of our other videos. There's 2 really good examples on the screen right now.